Hi everybody, welcome back to this oceanside, mountainside timber frame build in Shimoda, Japan. I'm John. When we left you last week, we were using our timber yarder, pulley, and wire rope system to get our timbers up to the top of the house. This week, we're going to focus on starting, continuing, and completing all of the roofing structure, the ceiling structure of the house. We're going to go up to the point where rafters will happen. Rafters will happen next week. And after the rafters are on, then we're facing our very first inspection with the local authorities. But this week is all about getting that ceiling structure complete. I do want to add, though, if seeing people working at heights with less than optimal safety gear bothers you, just please, take care as you watch or don't watch. I do have safety gear. I don't always use it. And I've got a lot of very concerned viewers who are very clear that I should be using it more than I do. So I apologize, but don't let, if heights bother you, then, there's going to be heights in this video. Also this week, I'm going to share with you one of those little serendipitous feel-good things that just happen, and it happened to me. And I'm a very lucky recipient of something that I've been kind of thinking about for 5 years. So I'll share that with you in this video as well. Stay tuned. Let's get this ceiling structure complete. Let's get one more step closer to calling the timber frame complete, and let's have some fun. Okay. So I decided against using the block and tackle. It was too close to the top, very dangerous, I felt. So I reverted to a 3-pulley system where I'm standing on the deck down below and pulling. Even with 3 pulleys, I can't get it to budge. I think I need the winch. Okay, we're ready to try with the winch. Let's just review everything bad that could happen. The first thing is that top beam could snap or break or come out of its screw holes. Even though I've got a half a dozen screws in each side, it's still fairly flimsy. Second thing that could happen is as it's pulling up, the 2 6-inch posts could, ram into their stops, and their stops don't hold them, so they slide over and crash to the ground. I don't think that'll happen. The third thing is when it's up, it could, either of the posts could slip off of its base and crash to the ground. And that's 50-50 chance. Finally, because I'm using the winch, and the winch is always a bit of a tricky beast, it could overpull and pull the thing right, pull the tie beam and the two posts right over top if I'm not able to stop it fast enough. Right now I am thoroughly defeated. I do not know how to get these up. And I've tried everything I can think of except building a floor up there to walk on and building, assembling them piece by piece, because each individual post is light enough to move around. The tie beams are kind of small enough to manhandle myself, but I don't have enough secure footing to do that right now. I may have just found the solution. Well, I thought the 3-pulley system was gonna do it. That's supposed to cut the weight by a third. I can lift that thing up myself, just dead weight. So, 3 pulleys cutting the weight by a third. I thought it would just be a walk in the park. But it wouldn't budge, even with the winch. I thought it was a brilliant solution. Okay, we're making some progress. You see, I've got to do a couple of things here. In order to take these things apart, which I had put together thinking it would be easier to just stand them up, which proved impossible because they're so heavy, I've got to take them apart, which means I've got to take the pegs out. But they're all turned to the wrong side up, so I've got to flip them over in order to pound the peg out. Then I can take them apart. The first one went up. I was nervous as hell. You probably can't see it in the time lapse, but it took me long seconds, maybe even minutes, to move my feet in order to get into a position to lift it. It was pretty nerve-wracking. Okay, but we've got Tragically Hip on the radio. We've got sunshine. We've got just the slightest breeze, not too terrible. And we got one up, so 2 more to do, and then the worst part of this is done. That's 2, baby. 2, 2, 2 in there. Oh, well, folks, this was a battle hard fought and hard won. Yesterday, I spent six and a half hours up here and got nothing done. Today, I spent another 6 hours up here and finally got the 3 tie beams up. The next challenge, of course, is these big 6x6 plates right here, these middle plates. The lower plates, the 4x6s there and over there, I don't anticipate too much trouble with them. But these 6x6s, just because of my walk space and the height right here, this is shoulder height for me, I've got to lift them up here and get them on top of these tenons. Luckily, there's 2 pieces, so I can lift up. Well, I hope it'll go easy. So, once again, I'll use that word chuffed. Oh, I am chuffed to get done. We're entering 36 hours of rain. It's going to start tonight at about midnight, continue all day Sunday and all morning Monday. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, supposed to be good weather. So I'll see you back then. There's always lots of evidence that the monkeys were hanging around my work site. These are 150s to go into the base. they went in quite well, and I'm surprised that it wasn't really more difficult. Now I've got to get these 6x6s out from under the bracing, which is going to be a challenge unto itself. I'm going to load them up on the sawhorses like I did with the 4x6s first. Load them up on the sawhorses and then just, shoulder one end in and then the other end in. And I don't think it's going to be a problem. There was nothing felt dangerous. It was just heavy. Well, it might be a little bit hard to tell with all the other wood and crap and angles in the shot, but I got those 4 plates, the lower plates and the middle plates, done. And the only one left is the ridge plate, ridge beam, I think it's called. And it sits on 3 4x4 posts right in the middle of those tie beams. And it's pushing 5 o'clock right now. I was gonna just stay and tough it out, but I don't want to push my luck. Let's call it a day. Come back fresh and strong next day. However, the next day won't be tomorrow. Even though we've got some great weather coming up, tomorrow we got a different activity planned. I'm really excited about it. Unfortunately, it's not to do with the timber frame construction of the house. But why don't I share that with you in just a little second? We're just getting started. My helpers are over there just confabbing on how to go about picking up these rocks. And we have a few bits of kit to use to help us pick them up, but let's see how it goes. First time for me to try this with big rocks. The truck is complaining it's too heavy. That's not even near the biggest one. So let me tell you a story. 5 years ago, when I first bought this property, I was traveling up the little road here to it, and I noticed a plot of land completely overgrown, untouched for years, decades maybe, but it looked like at one time it had been used for construction, or somebody wanted to build something and just gave up, I don't know. But there was a pile of rocks that I noticed, like big honking rocks. And I thought, oh, I would love those for my roadway up into the mountain at my place, which is just like 2 kilometers up the way. And alas, there was nobody living here, and I couldn't take rocks that weren't on my property. So for 5 years, I just lusted after these rocks every time I passed by. Then about 5 months ago, I saw the sign. There's a sign on this lot that says the company's, a construction company's name. So I looked them up, and I found they're in Shimoda. I drove by there and nobody was home. I did that twice and nobody was home. My idea 5 months ago was maybe I could just pop into that office and make a comment about the property, saying how nice it looked, or maybe could I camp there one night? You know, something to just get a conversation started, that maybe I could move the conversation in the direction of, what are you going to do with those rocks, right? Anyway, so after 5 years, just 5 months ago, I just had this idea to go and start a conversation with this company that I found. And I didn't. You know, as I said, I stopped by twice, nobody was there. So nothing happened. And then, right by coincidence, 3 months ago, I saw some trucks show up at the lot. And then some work started. And for about a month there was obviously workers on the lot cleaning it up. So a month passed, I kept seeing those people and didn't know who they were. And finally I stopped one day. I had an opportunity to stop while they were finishing up for the day or taking a break. Anyway, they were standing by the road. And I stopped and I got out and I introduced myself. I said, I'm building my house up the road. It looks like we're doing construction, the same thing, type of thing, trying to make a joke. And found out that one of the guys was the guy who owned the land. And so, and the other 2 guys were his workers, right? He owned the company that owned the land that we're now here trying to clean it up. So we got to talking, and he was a really nice guy, and I invited them to come up and see my construction, and he invited me out for some beers, and so we got the relationship going. And after the relationship started, finally I said, so what are you going to do with all the stuff that's left there? I noticed there's a bunch of concrete pipes and steel plates and rocks. And he said, just going to get rid of it. And I said, is there anything that you wouldn't mind me taking? Or maybe I could buy something from you? He said, what are you interested in? I said, well, those rocks are pretty nice. He said, take them all. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I don't want them. I don't need them. It's just a pain in the butt for me. And so, wow, fantastic. And so we talked about it a couple more times. A couple of different days later, we talked about it again. And I said, well, what about money? What should we do about the money? And he said, no, just take them. It's free. I can get them. You'll help me by getting them off my property. And that's it. And that's how we came to me receiving a shit ton of big-ass rocks. I called my contractor friend, Kabata-san, and I said, listen, I can't go and rent this crane truck because I don't have the right license. He says, I got the license. I'll come work with you for the day. He's retired now. His son has taken over his construction company. And so and of course I'm going to pay him a couple $100, but he's out here today just working away with me, picking these rocks and getting them back to my place. Score, baby. So I mentioned in a video some time ago about the serendipitous events that you need to embrace. And this was one of them. It just happened. It's a coincidence that I was planning on reaching out to them at about the same time they were planning on coming up here to start cleaning up the lot. And just the stars aligned. We're technically at the end of the timber frame build. Okay, we're about to set the ridgepole on. And both in Western and Eastern customs, there's a ceremony, the ridgepole raising ceremony. And in the West, in North America especially, in the timber frame world, you attach a bough from typically the same species of tree that you've used to build the house. In our case, it's cedar or sugi. So we're going to attach a sugi bough to the ridge beam. In Japanese culture, the jotoshiki is the name in Japanese of the ridgepole raising ceremony. And so we also consulted the celestial calendar and to judge if today was a good day to do this, because of the 6 types of days, there are 2 that are really bad. And this is a Tomobiki day, a pulling in the friends day. So it's a very auspicious day for doing a ridgepole raising ceremony. We're also going to do today the Shikata Katame no Giri ceremony, which is the where you take unwashed rice, coarse sea salt, and sake, Japanese sake, and you put it in all four corners of the house. We're going to do that right away. And then we're going to get the ridgepole out. We're going to sprinkle some sake on it, and then we're going to raise it. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Whoa.
There we go. There we go.
Ooh.
What was that?
That must be B.
It's in! It's in! Banzai!
Omedetou.
Oh, I need a shower. The last little bit of acrobatics for now. Okay. So it's up, it's up. We will be blessed by the cedar gods. Again, another hard fought, hard won battle, but the ridge plate is now up and a ridge beam. My God, this was really, really unnerving, the whole bit. But it all went together.